Hello dear learners, welcome to SWAM NPTEL course on Methodology of Educational Research, and I am Dr. Sarita Anand from Department of Education, Vinay Bhavan, Vishwabharati, Shantiniketan, West Bengal, India. Today we will talk about the module 25 on case studies, and this is the lecture 25. And before moving towards the lecture, we will see through the concepts covered. Earlier we had covered the historical research, the different types of historical research in education, process of historical research, sources of data in the historical research, primary and secondary sources especially, and the limitations of historical research. And now we will start with the case studies, its concept, definition, and all kind of information related with the concept of case studies. So, case studies is the intensive study of a case which may be an individual, an institution, a system, a community, an organization, an event, or even the entire culture. According to YIN, this person has worked a lot in the field of case studies. So, according to In, has defined a case study an empirical inquiry that investigates contemporary phenomena within its real life context when the boundaries between the phenomena and the context are not clear, evident, and in which the multiple sources of evidence are used. Cromery in 1986 holds that case study involves studying individual cases, often in their natural environment and for a long period of time. It is thus a kind of research design which usually involves the qualitative method of selecting the sources of data. It represents the holistic account that offers insight into the case under the study. When attention is focused on the development of the cases, it is called case history. The case studies, for example, how a particular boy become a juvenile delinquent because of lack of parental control, impact of peers, lack of attention by the teachers, and the money earned through cheap means, and then become an adolescent thief and a sex criminal, or ultimately a professional pickpocketing or pocketer is tracing criminality through case history method. Case study is not a method of data collection only, rather it is a research strategy or an empirical inquiry that investigates a contemporary phenomena by using multiple sources of evidence. Yin in 1989 and Hammersley in 1992 both have supported this view. As for the definition of the case study is concerned, so the case study can be simply and specific, such as for example, we can take any name, Manav or Rahman, the delinquent boy, or the complex and abstract such as decision making in a university or any other example. But whenever and whatever the subject, to qualify as a case study, it is must be bounded system, unit, and entity in itself. Case studies are used not only in social sciences like sociology, community studies, social anthropology, tribal culture, political science, policy researches, political administration or public administration, management and organization study, but also in medicine like clinical researches and social work helping professionals, etc. Case studies lie within the realm of qualitative methodology. If someone is asking in which kind of methodology it is coming, this is qualitative research. It is the preferred strategy when we are trying to know the how, who, why, and what kind of questions being answered, investigating contemporary issues and understanding the unique and rare phenomena in detailed studies, phenomena in the real life context. So, if we go for the meaning, the case study is a way of organizing social data for the purpose of viewing social reality. It examines a social unit as a whole. The unit may be a person, a family, a social group, a social institution, or academic institution, or a community. The purpose is to understand the life cycle or an important part of the life cycle of the unit. That unit may be the individual or the whole family. The case study probes deeply and analyzes interaction between the factors that explain present status or that influence change or growth. It is a longitudinal approach showing development over a period of time. Bromley in 1986 notes that a case is not only about a person, but also about the kind of person. So, here the case is not only the person, but what characteristics, what personality he or she is, that is the case. A case in an exemplar of perhaps even a prototype for a category of individual. Thus, the selection of the subject of the case study needs to be done carefully to assure that he or she is typically or the typical of those whom we wish to generalize in through our researches. Even a single case study and a single case study can be enable a researcher to generalize to other cases that represent similar theoretical conditions. This is said by in 1998, and this is not the same type of generalization as we have seen in the statistical generalization of the quantitative or the experimental researches, which generalize from a simple to a population. Rather, we mean here analytical generalization that generalizes to a theory from which other similar cases may be better understood for further uses. Now, let us take to the characteristics of the case studies. Hartfield in 1982 and Sarantakos in 1998 has referred to the following distinguishing characteristics of the case study. These content you can find in the research methods book by Ram Ahuja, and I have taken that from there. And the studies whole unit in their totality and not some selected aspect or variables of this unit. So, in total they study in the case studies. It employs several methods in the data collection to prevent the error and distortion. If often studies a single unit, one unit is the one study. If you are going to conduct the case study on Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, then only the one person Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore is the case study. It perceives the respondents as a knowledgeable person, not just a source of data. It studies a typical case, and when we are talking about the characteristics, definitely we have to think about the uses of this case study. So, case study methods are used in the fields of social sciences, law, education, psychology, medicine because of multidisciplinary roots of the case studies. Earlier in Sigmund Freud was a pioneer in using case study method in the field of psychiatry to treat his psychoneurotic patients. In the educational context, case studies may be used to study typical individuals like drug addicts, juvenile delinquents, school dropouts, slow learners, gifted children, etc. Institutions like schools showing poor performances, college leading in promoting national integration and leadership qualities among the students, or sick industries, etc. can be the case study. And the different communities like a tribe showing high literacy percentage among girls, characteristics of a migratory labor group forcing their children to drop out from the schools, etc. So, for the uses, Ian in 1989 referred the three basic uses of single case study. If you have conducted one case study, it may provide three type of uses. First one is it provides a critical taste of a theory to corroborate the challenge or extent to it. It helps in studying a unique case which is useful not only in the clinical psychology, but also in sociology of the study deviant groups and the problem and individual and so on. The third type is it helps studying in the phenomena that occurs in the situation where this phenomena has not been studied before. For example, studying the problems and rehabilitation of the sufferers of the cyclones in the coastal areas, sociology of disaster management, if irrigation canals for the farmers, environment disaster etc., can be studied. Against the single case study, there are multiple case studies where series of cases are studied for the testing and well developed theories. How any case should be included in the multiple case design will depend on the nature of the problem under the study and the condition in which this study occurs. Now, we will see the purpose of the case study. Burns in 2000 has pointed out the following purposes of the case studies. First, to use it as a preliminary to major investigation, as it may bring to light variables, processes and relationships that deserve more intensive investigation. In this sense, it may even be a source of hypothesis for the further research. Then maybe the second purpose, to probe the phenomena deeply and analyze it intensively with a view to establishing generalization about the wider population to which the unit belongs. The third purpose may be to get the anecdotal evidence that illustrates more general findings about the case. The fourth one is to refute a universal generalization. A single case can be represent a significant contribution to the theory building and assist in focusing on the direction of the future investigation in the research area. The fifth purpose may be to use it as a unique, typical and an interesting case in its own right. Now, we can see the principles of case study. What principle we have to follow? We should know about that. First one is use multiple sources. Case studies use one source for data collection does not give adequate evidence for the generalization. So, but getting information from several sources like interviewing, observing, analyzing the documents is regarded as the major strength of the case study approach, because it also contributes to the validity of the findings and improving the reliability of the study. The second principle is maintaining a chain of evidence. The evidence from which the conclusions are drawn in the case study has not only to be stated in the specific cases cited, like criminological investigation in a crime case, the court, but it is evaluators should be able to verify the sources and the evidences. The third principle is the recording of data. The data may be recorded either in the form of sketchy notes in the observation and interview. It may be the tape recorded in the minutes detail. If a few notes are taken out in the time of interview or observation, full notes may be written later on as soon as possible with those notes. Type of case study. Now, we will go through the type of case studies. Byrne in 2000 has stated 6 types of case studies, and this detail also you will get in the Ramahuja's book, and I have tried here to simplify the types of case studies with the help of this visuals. Now, let us go through the types. First one is situational case study, clinical case study, multi case studies, oral history case study, observational case studies and historical case studies. Let us take it one by one. The first one is historical case studies. These case studies trace the development of organization system over the time. The study of an adult criminal right from his childhood through adolescence or the youth is an example of this type of case study. So, this type of dependence more on the interviews, recording and documentation, and earlier in the historical research also had taken the example of few from this kind of studies. The second one is observational case studies. These focus on the observing the any kind of problem like a drunk man, a teacher, a student, a union leader, some activity, some event or a specific group of people, some politician, whatever is our intended case study we can observe. However, the researchers in this type of a study are rarely total participants or total observer. Maybe they are non-participatory observer or the participatory observer, but not 100% in both the type. The third one is the oral history case studies. These are the usually first person narratives that researchers collects using extensive interviewing of a single individual. For example, the case of a drug addict or an alcoholic or the prostitute or a retired person who fails to adjust himself in his or her son's family. So, the fourth type of case study is situational case study. This form of case study particularly are the events. The view of all participants in that events are sought. For example, a communal riot is there, something happened, how it started with the conflict between two persons of the two different religious groups. This is a common incident in nowadays. How each person sought support of persons of his own religion present at the spot, how police were informed, how police arrested persons of one particular religious group or other, how did public and the other media reacted, and so on. So, this kind of pulling out all the views together and in depth is provided that contributes significantly to the understanding of an event or the incident or the accident. Then the fifth type is clinical case studies. This approach aims at the understanding in depth a particular individual such as a patient in the hospital, a prisoner in the jail, a woman in rescue home, a problem child in a school, etc. These studies involve detailed interview, observation, going through records and reports and so on. Like many suicidal cases are being studied through these criminal cases. The sixth type is multi-case studies. It is a collection of case studies or a form of replication. For example, multiple experiments are there. We can take the example that the 3 case studies and analyze them on the replication logic. This logic is that each case will either produce contrary result or similar result. The outcome will demonstrate either support for the initial propositions or a need to revise and reset with another set of cases. After the different type of case studies, now we have to see the data collection in the case study, how we can collect the data. In case study method, data collection involves as in-depth detailed investigation of a single subject like person, group, event, organization, anything in its real life context using multiple data sources like interview, structured or unstructured, direct observation either participant or non-participant, documents either records or the articles, archival records and the physical artifacts to gain a holistic understanding, often employing triangulation for validity. Researchers use a blend of qualitative and the sometimes quantitative methods focusing on the depth over breadth to explore the complex phenomena thoroughly in their research. Now, the data collection technique in the case studies. I have tried to provide you the simple visual, like in the data collection technique we can use the interviews, observation, document analysis, archival records, physical artifacts and survey like questionnaire or the scales. So, let us take one by one the data collection techniques. The most used or utilized data collection technique is interview. Asking targeted questions from open ended to structured to gather the rich perspective of the respondents. Then observation, systematically watching subjects and in their natural setting, sometimes a participant or maybe the prolonged period or the non-participant observation. It depends on our research type. Then the document analysis, examining the letters, official records, reports and media for historical or contextual data available for that particular research. Then archival records, if we are interested for the data collection through the archival record, we have to utilize the data sources like census data, survey data, any historical found, any archived document which is available in any institution or the organization. Then the fifth one is physical artifact. Through studying the objects, tools or other tangible items related to the case, we can collect the data. Like many criminal cases, their team of the inspection comes and collects the evidences from the field of accident or the mishappening. So, not artifacts only, but any kind of object that is important for our case, that can be come under here. Then the sixth one is surveys and questionnaires, sometimes used to gather a specific quantitative data within the qualitative framework. If required, we can use this survey in our case studies. The core principles of the data collection is, there is three core principles. The first principle is multiple resource utilization, that is called triangulation. Combining different methods like interviews, documents, observation to strengthen the finding and cross validation of the information, researcher use multiple data sources to enhance the validity and the reliability of the findings of his or her research study. Real life context, this is the second core principle, like studying the phenomena within its actual environment, unlike controlled experiments, studied phenomena in their real life context and go and observe or talk to them to your case. In third one is in-depth understanding, aiming for deep insights into complex issues rather than broad generalizable findings. Researchers focus on in-depth understanding of complex issues, and they are not focused on the only generalization. In 1998, make the 6 types of data list, and researchers have accepted this list. Like the first one is documents, types of data. The first is document, and it includes a variety of possible extant material that can be accessed by the researcher. This could include a school record, health record, teacher's note and so forth. The second one is archival record, which we have discussed, but this is the pinpointed types of data given by IN. The records are usually quantitative data including survey, questionnaires, results from the prior study, records of organization, list and like many other things. Many such records have been computerized these days and we can fetch it out. The third one is direct observation. It takes place when the researcher visits the case site. The case study site is providing the opportunity for the direct observation. Field notes take from the observation can be useful in the understanding the phenomena of interest which researcher is conducting the study. Here we have to note or understand that the observation method used could either be the participant observation or non-participant observation, or both these methods give opportunity to investigate the subject. For some topics, some researches non-participant observation or to perceive the reality from the viewpoint of an outsider, observation of husband wife conflict in a family, like students behavior in the classroom, workers behavior in the trade union meeting, clerks behavior in an office, and similar other examples are there. Such observations can range from the causal to formal. So, casual maybe observation are there and the formal observation are also there. Then the fourth type of data is the setting, the environment. By a researcher becomes a participant in a social situation being observed. Although it is usually associated with the ethnography or an anthropology, this technique can also provide important data for some case studies, such as when a graduate student is interested in how a graduate seminar operates or how Bengali marriages are happening. So, that whole environment is also, that marriage environment is also providing the data for the researcher, and the researcher is also becoming the part of that occasion. The fifth type is interview, that is the most prominent in case studies, are usually open-ended in nature. The interview should be considered as informants for these data, and the verbal reports of the interviews should be triangulated for the verification. The sixth one is the physical artifacts. These are the usually used in the physical anthropological studies of earlier times. The anthropological studies were utilizing this kind of artifacts. Now, contemporary examples would be the arrangements of classroom to understand the class as a case, and verifying the work has been done by the studying computer files, etc. Now, the diversity of case studies. When we are talking about the case studies, what kind and what level could be there for the different type of case studies. So, there is a variety or diversity. Case studies are not confined to any study of the individual or behavior characteristics. Case studies have been made for all of type of communities, all type of individual, alcoholics, drug addicts, juvenile delinquency, migratory workers, shopkeepers, sharecroppers and caregivers, industrial workers, members of professionals, executives, members of social classes, members of other religious sects and denominations, maybe the country wise African, American, Indian, Indian American, Chinese American and many other social and ethnic groups are there. Such institutions as colleges, temples, corrective institutions, welfare agencies, NGOs, fraternal organizations, business groups have been studied as case. So, there are other chances, the other examples also, like community based case studies deal with the such elements of the community life as location, appearance, prevailing economic activities through observation and analysis of a group of climate and natural resources, historical development, mode of life, social structure, goals of life, values, patterns, individuals or power group that exert the dominant influence and impact on the outside world. So, when we are talking about the case studies, let us go for the planning the case study. Start with the designing the initial question, like similar in other researches we do, plan the initial research question, and when you are planning what are the sources of getting the data, this should be thought, study proposition, while initial questions are general, specific question need to be asked seeking specific evidence, and the for the example of question could be asked, and in last one that the drugs were taken by the addict, from whom did he obtain the drug, if you are working on the drug addicts, from where did he get the money to purchase the drug, and so on. So, if this kind of proposition should be prepared. Then third step is unit of analysis. This is concerned with the defining the actual case. Actually, the person, the event, the system is to be studied. For example, in the case of drug addict, in a particular college or university restrict the study these students only. The another example we can take, that the women employees of a particular organization for studying the dual role of performance and adjustment of working women, and we call it work life balance. So, this way the researcher is bound and will not be tempted to collect data from the persons randomly selected. If work life balance is conducting on me, then definitely researcher have to talk to me and talk to my family and the colleagues. So, once the case has been established, other units of the analysis become apparent, and if the unit is a group, then the person to be included in the group must be established. And the fourth one is linking data to the propositions and the criteria for interpreting, finding, and then competent regarding the relating to the data analysis steps can be taken care of. So, what are the advantages? Till now we have got the essence of the advantages. Black and Champion in 1976 they have mentioned the advantages, like it make it in-depth study possible, case studies, flexible with the respect to using methods for collecting data, questionnaire, interview, observation, whatever is feasible you can use it. It could be used for studying any dimension of the topic. It could study one specific aspect or may not include other aspect. You are free to do that. It can be conducted in practically any kind of social setting. Case studies are inexpensive, just you have to spend time. So, case study have limitations also. Subjective bias is the chance. So, in case study design regarded with the disdain or because of the investigators subjectivity, their choices, liking, disliking, collecting data from supporting or refuting a particular explanation. Many times the investigator allow personal views to influence the direction of the finding in their studies. So, the external checks on the investigator are so weak that he does not miss opportunity to advance personal views, and we have seen in our many researches. Lacking for generalization, yes, the case studies provide little evidence of inferences and generalizing theories. The common complaint is how can generalization be made from a single case? This is the question. Robert Byrne in 2000 had replied or answered this question that the case studies are generalizable to theoretical proposition, not to statistical populations. So, we have to remember we can generalize on the theoretical grounds, not the statistical grounds. The objective of case study is expand theory, not to undertake statistical generalization. So, for example, the example of thieves who commit minor theft for the first time due to poverty, hunger or unemployment or chronic illness etc., or in short due to economic compulsions. Limitations are also like time consuming. Yes, it is very time consuming, it is a tedious job, but if in case study is focused on the relevant issue, person or event or under study, it need not to be lengthy, but we can go for the this case study. Doubtful reliability, yes, in many types difficult to establish the reliability in case study. Investigator cannot prove his or her authenticity for obtaining data or having no bias in analyzing them. It is not easy to fix a step procedure explicitly to extend that others and enable to replicate the same study. So, missing validity is also the chances are that the case study failed to develop a sufficient operational set of measures, and it checks and balances the reliable instruments are found missing. For investigator, what seems true is more important than what is true. So, if researcher is thinking that it's true or it's good, that is not the matter, but here the in case study oversimplify or exaggerated leading to the erroneous conclusions. Now, the whole conclusion will be that the case study research method occupies an important place in the educational research because it enables an in-depth holistic examination of a bound system such as learner, classroom, school, program, policy, as we had discussed already, is not confined with the only one method. Many other methods are used, real life context is utilized, particularly when boundaries between phenomena and context are not clearly evident. The major characteristics of the case study is using multiple sources of evidence, emphasis on the depth rather than the breadth, reliance on the triangulations, and different types of case studies allows to align with the design with the purpose of inquiry. So, some kind of flexibility is there, and in conclusion we can say that the research the case study research offers a useful methodological framework for the generating context sensitive insight, information, theory and the practice, and contributing meaningfully to the educational environment. So, this was all about the lecture. Now, I have given the reference for your further reading, and whatever I have mentioned here in this lecture, I have given in the reference section. You can go through for the detailing, and I hope you will keep studying and keep keen interest in the research. So, keep learning. Thank you.